My father shoved aside my bowl of receipts, setting up his things on the bar. I just want to let you know, he said. I call the shots. You sit right there in that chair and I'll tell you what goes on. I looked at him with a growing sense of horror. I'm Britney Spears now, he said. So that was a quote from Jamie Spears, Britney Spears' father, from this amazing memoir, which I was very excited about, Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. We're going to talk about how Britney's memoir reveals how men try and own women's lives. First, through the lens of conforming to male expectations, some very famous men that Britney has dated. Next, we're going to talk about weaponizing vulnerability and go back in time to some kind of explosive tabloid moments in Britney's lives and how she dealt with that. And then we're going to talk about forced patriarchal control through stories of how men literally owned her as if she were a second-class citizen. So buckle up, get yourself a mochaccino latte, and sit on down because this is a very spicy read if you like celebrities, and I hope you do. Welcome to Bookwise from bookclub.com. I am your host, Britt Brewer, aka Dr. Books. I am not a licensed medical professional. I'm not even a girl, and I'm not yet a woman, but I am someone who reads quite a bit. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed this memoir, but I feel a personal connection. And it's not just because a lot of times people think that my name is Britney, but really it's just Brit. But also, I grew up with Britney. I mean, I remember seeing Crossroads in college. So now you know how old I am. Maybe I saw it on DVD. Wait, no, I'm sorry. I saw it streaming last week. I'm very young. I mean, I just feel like she has created pop culture since I was paying attention to pop culture. But what really hit me throughout reading this was, man, Britney, she went through a lot. She made a lot of money for a lot of people. She had a lot of hits, but she was treated pretty poorly. And I think that the title, The Woman in Me, is pretty apt because a lot of men would not have been treated the way that Britney was treated, which brings us to our first section. Conforming to male expectations. How did Britney have to conform to male expectations? Well, pretty early on, she was seen through the lens of the male gaze. And I know that that's kind of like college Judith Butler speak, but it's actually true. I mean, all of these record execs were trying to create her into this image of this little girl, Catholic school, virginal, she just, she was just this little virginal girl, and wasn't she just an angel? But it's America, and we love to see angels tarnished. And that's what happened in her relationship with one Justin Dirty Pop Timberlake. And I don't know if you know this, but something that I found to be a pretty huge revelation was that whole Cry Me a River, Britney cheated on Justin. He really made a lot of hay in the sun with how Britney did him wrong. Turns out he was really the big time cheater. But, in fact, she says, another time we were in Vegas and one of my dancers who had been hanging out with him told me he gestured towards a girl and said, "Yeah, man, I hit that last night." So case in point, Justin was able to be super lecherous and just talk about hitting that. But then in a more really, really deeply, deeply upsetting story that she tells towards the end of their relationship, Britney reveals that she got pregnant. She and Justin talked, and he didn't want to go through with it. And so she, in very candid terms, talks about having an abortion and how physically painful it was, how lonely she felt. She did say that Justin Timberlake was with her for part of the time in the hospital room, and he did bring his guitar and sing some songs to her. It makes me wonder if Justin Timberlake was getting some kind of really tough, emotionally raw procedure. I don't know, getting his tubes tied. What do you think if Britney came in with a guitar? Do you think he would be cool with that? I don't know. I don't know. He's dirty popping. He's going to be May. He's bringing sexy back. He's señorita. He's doing all that stuff all over the place, all over hotel rooms. And she made out with one guy, and apparently she is, a bunch of mean things were said about her in the press. So, just the hypocrisy, the imbalance, and how she had to contort herself for male expectations. Next up, weaponizing vulnerability. And what does that mean? Well, since the dawn of rock and roll, male rock stars have been trashing hotel rooms, jumping off of hotels, throwing things out the window, like going through really weird periods where they're not making a ton of sense, but everyone's like, they're geniuses. They're amazing. Oh my God, they're rock gods. Let them do what they want. But in the late 2000s, Britney, who had been working since she was a child, and at some point, she had a mental breakdown. She shaved her head, and then she took an umbrella to an SUV, and this was very well documented. And boy, did the press have a field day. And her vulnerability, her mental breakdown, it wasn't lionized. Nope. It was, you guessed it, villainized. She's crazy. You got to take her kids away, all this sort of stuff. And Britney in the 2000s, she dated Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell was up to no good in the 2000s, but he was deemed a bad boy and she was deemed insane. So it just goes to show you, 2007 was not that far away, and the hypocrisy still stands today. And in fact, if you look at articles that have come out like 3 months ago, they're still talking about how Colin Farrell was a bad boy. He was a bad boy. He's a bad boy. That guy was probably like snorting ants off the sidewalk, Ozzy Osbourne style, but he was a bad boy and she was crazy in quotations. So, that's just another example of how the media, press, society weaponized her vulnerability, weaponized mental illness, and how, really there is a double standard when it comes to famous women and female pop stars. And drum roll, please. Last up, forced patriarchal control. If some of you remember, a few years ago, there was a huge social media free Britney movement, and people were kind of like, free Britney? What's going on with Britney? Well, turns out she had been living under the conservatorship, a court-ordered conservatorship from her father, Jamie Spears, who we heard earlier, and that haunting quote of him saying, "I'm Britney Spears now." And her life, her finances, everything was controlled by Jamie Spears. And she worked her little Louisiana took us off and she just made so much money for so many people, and so many people took money, and she was housebound. Everything was monitored. She couldn't buy anything on her own. She couldn't eat or drink without someone knowing what she was doing. And this is a grown woman. This is a grown woman who had children, who had won countless awards, had made so much money for so many people. And she had a breakdown, but I'm just going to read a quote from Britney that really, really stuck with me. And she's talking about just the hypocrisy and sort of the just sheer lunacy of her being in this conservatorship. Think of how many male artists gambled all their money away. How many had substance abuse or mental health issues. No one tried to take away their control over their body and money. I didn't deserve what my family did to me. Amen, sister. You did not. And there is a happy ending to this story. So we found a clip from 2016 where Britney actually talks about the conservatorship on the Jonathan Ross show for a little bit of light shedding from Miss Spears herself. Let's roll the clip.
I won't get into the whole story, but...
well, we know a lot of the whole story, so we don't have to go over the whole story, or, what we think.
It was I think since the conservatorship, I'm in a conservatorship, is the third year of me being under that, and I felt like a lot of the things were planned for me to do, and, being told what to do, and I was just like, for this one, I want to make it my baby, and I want to do it myself, and I was very strategic about the way I did it. And that's why it means so much to me.
Oh, that's nice.
She just is casually like, I'm in a conservatorship. And he's like, great. She's like, as you all know, I am being legally owned by my father as an adult. And he's like, okay, cool. Britney is living proof that even if you're famous, even if you have tons of awards and you have all of this stuff, you know, someone can still step in and take over your life and control you. And at the end of the day, you have yourself and you have your self-love and you have your will. And she did it. So, Britney, girl, I'm proud of you. This has been Bookwise. And you know what? We're going to do a little something special this time. We are going to take you out on a moment of Zen. Miss Michelle Williams, not Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child, Michelle Williams from Dawson's Creek, always from Dawson's Creek, no matter what she does. She read the audiobook of this, and this is going to be Michelle Williams as Britney Spears, as Justin Timberlake. So please, please, please enjoy this meta, ooey gooey goodness brought to you from Bookwise.
Walking our way was a guy with a huge blinged out medallion. He was flanked by 2 giant security guards. Jay got all excited and said so loud, "Oh yeah, faux shiz, genuine. What's up, homie?"